What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So the devs done a live stream yesterday dropping some more gems for this game in terms of future content, and the good news here is that the first DLC will indeed come with a new villain finally, because I know that's something that a lot of people are complaining about, I guess including myself as well, because right now we only have two. So the next DLC is coming with a brand new villain. So if you have any ideas on who that could be, definitely let me know in the comments below. Now also, just to add here regarding the war table, they did also hint that essentially it's going to be before Thanksgiving, and taking that into consideration, that I guess it's more or less what, end of next month, right? So technically we should get this war table stream maybe within the first 2 weeks of November. But on top of that, they have also been back on Reddit teasing something we have all been asking for, and lastly, Black Panther. When are we to expect him? And there is something interesting that has happened, because, well, first of all, Miller has shared his thoughts on the Black Panther stuff, but also to add to this, Crystal Dynamics are now fully aware of our good friend Miller, because they basically mentioned something regarding him. So we got tons of stuff, really cool stuff to talk about today. So let's crush 2 likes and 1 comment, that would be cool, and go ahead and click that big red subscribe button below if you have not already, because honestly, it's just such a cool thing to do. But let's dive into this video, and I want to start off with mentioning what Phil has responded to, as I know it's a feature we've all been wanting for such a long time, and when I say all, I mean a vast majority. So it says, as you can see on screen, why can't we toggle between Tony/Iron Man, as well as open the faceplate on the suit? The same with Banner's beard and Cap's shield/mask. Now, Phil's response to this was actually just brutally honest, which I completely appreciate, because it says the following: "It's a cool idea, it just doesn't take priority over bugs, but it's being requested often and we are considering it. Just want to be honest about it." So I guess looking in the future, right, it's great to know that they are considering this, but it's also good to know that they are still, I guess, setting it as a priority to polish up all the bugs and glitches in this game. That of course just being top of their list, right? But just a side note here, with the recent update of course adding and tweaking some really cool things, it was not on the patch notes at first, but it now does indeed say the following, which is: Companion Iron Man and Black Widow now have a boosted priority to attack drones, fillers and turrets. Now this is really cool, because a few people did actually notice this, but again weren't really sure, you know, if it's actually been, you know, changed and tweaked in this patch, because at first it just didn't state that. But again, we can now confirm that this is indeed a change, and I think that's just really cool as a whole, because the AI are good of course, but in terms of like their priorities prior to this patch, it's safe to say they were definitely way off. Now, getting into what we really need to talk about, right, which is the Black Panther DLC info. So of course, now knowing that the Hawkeye DLC has been delayed, and even the next gen version has been delayed as a whole, things are just being pushed back, okay? And I know a lot of people are saying, well, this is like a terrible idea because the game is already in a bad state. Now, looking at it just quickly as, you know, I guess a bigger perspective, right? The damage has been done. That's something that I did see Miller even talk about, so I agree with that. The damage has already been done. So now knowing that, I guess they're taking their time with things so that when they're implemented, it won't just feel like reskins and so forth, I kind of feel good about that. And just another thing to add here regarding, you know, reskins and so forth, they are also working on new costumes as well. So we are in for brand new content as a whole. It's not just going to be reskinned elements, but I still know a lot of people are kind of, you know, I guess a little bit peed off, if you can say, right, because I get it, I do get it as a whole, but just looking at the longer vision for this game in terms of the next 6 months, I'd like to say we're in for some really cool stuff. Now, yesterday I did come to the assumption that with this delay that, well, of course we know Kate is going to be first. We now know that Kate is going to be next month. Again, there's speculation that it's going to be within the first couple of weeks of November, and when I say first couple of weeks, we might even be talking possibly about the first week, and alongside that, will be coming with the War Table stream. But I then did say that of course it could go Kate and then Black Panther and then Hawkeye, after I guess there's a bit of variety with heroes in that sense, because don't forget, I guess you could say Hawkeye in terms of, you know, character and their weapons, etc, etc. When it comes down to Hawkeye and Kate, they are similar in that perspective. So rather than it not feel like a back-to-back situation, that was my theory. But what's interesting is Miller has posted a tweet which I think is really interesting, and it says, current release schedule, cloning lab brackets, which is what they said quote unquote in the next few weeks, Kate Bishop taking aim November, Clint Barton future imperfect later, again quote unquote, and then it says new hero, region and narrative arc, which essentially is Black Panther plus Wakanda plus Operation, which is 2021, and then of course it says our next Marvel's Avengers War Table in November. Now, this is interesting. We know Miller is really on the ball when it comes down to this stuff, so this completely throws out my theory way out the window, right? And he did even mention a few missions as well that they kind of hinted but didn't want to tease, and it was essentially how it would be coming with the Wakanda update, and it's going to be, and how it's essentially going to be like raids but on a complete much bigger scale. And it's hard to say, you'll see the tweet on screen basically, but it's basically like how they're explaining things so it doesn't feel like it's going to be a clone again, or it's not going to be on a much smaller perspective. So again, we know Miller is on top of his game with this stuff, which is why we always take what he does say, I guess, relatively seriously. Now, what's interesting, and I want you guys to leave your thoughts on that stuff in the comments below, but what's interesting is that in the stream yesterday, Miller was in the stream in terms of in the chat, and the Crystal Dynamics PR person actually said, I truly hope that Miller has fixed all the leaks in his plumbing. Now, the reason why this is just class and it's just so funny is because, don't forget, a while back Miller basically wiped everything off when it comes down to his Twitter, and he essentially became a plumber. It was like a company and so forth, and no one, absolutely no one, had a clue what was going on. But Crystal Dynamics are fully aware of Miller's moves. But what's cool about this is at the same time they know that Miller was helping the community. Miller really did just step in and drive a lot of hype and keep people's, I guess, faith and hope in this game, right? So in that sense, I think it's really cool that they are aware of this, but again, they're kind of just like joking about the situation as well in a perspective. At least, I hope it's a joke anyway, and that it's not seriously serious, if you know what I mean. But I think it's cool nonetheless. But leave all your thoughts on this stuff in the comments below, and that's going to wrap up this video here. So I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day, and until the next one, adios amigos.